great long career.
Awesome. All right. Well, y'all let us know what a match that you think is one of Edge's standout matches is down in the
Go to
comment section.
Undertaker at WrestleMania. He wrestled
One
Undertaker at
match.
WrestleMania. Throw that in there.
Just one, man.
You
Just
get
one
three.
of those three. All right. Thanks, y'all. We'll talk to you next time. Peace. All right. So, Tristan, twice so far, you've brought up crowds. When you were at AEW, sitting next to people who may not be as into the pageantry as you are and how that can affect your experience. Pageantry may not be the right word. As enthusiastic about what you're spectating is, it might kind of affect your experience. I feel completely the same way. You talked about how on fire people were for Edge when he was in Canada in his home country, and I think a hot crowd is something that just completely elevates everything. It motivates the wrestlers. You can just see it in their performance. And a match that we're going to talk about, I think, is a very good sample of what a hot crowd can do. And the match that we're talking about is Shinsuke Nakamura versus Sami Zayn. It was at NXT. What was the name of
Dallas?
NXT Takeover Dallas. And there's something so pure about these two NXT matches that you've shown me. It's like the crowd is white hot. They're so enthusiastic. The chants that you don't always get or that you can't always hear in these big arenas where oftentimes WWE are just so like present in the mix. And I think everybody there are like wrestling fans. They're there because they love wrestling. And I use the word pageantry, and I feel that NXT has stripped away a lot of that in favor of just giving really good technical wrestling matches. And I loved this match, dude.
NXT, I don't know about now. I don't watch a whole lot now. But NXT had a lot of pageantry. I mean, you look at even Shinsuke Nakamura's entrance in this match, just with the flashing lights. This was his debut. This was his introduction to NXT. But he would have big matches for championships where like his entrance music has like a little bit of violin in it. So before his entrance music would come on, there's just this like concert violinist just in the middle of the ramp, just wailing.
That is awesome. I've never seen that before.
Yeah, and the music comes in. Shinsuke Nakamura is like doing his entrance, doing his weird hand movements, walking around this violinist who's just going. It's great.
He looks like he's got Lyme's disease. He comes out there all like,
I know, he just starts doing all these weird things.
I fucking love Shinsuke Nakamura. I didn't even realize, maybe I wasn't listening during the entrances. I guess my take on pageantry is not, I'm using the word wrong, because what you're saying is 100% right. That's the pageantry, how they kind of come out and do their entrance. But as far as like gimmick matches, do they do like ladder matches and hardcore match? Okay.
Yeah.
Then you've shown me two that have just been like really
just wrestling matches.
And I really like that. This is also like a version of Sami Zayn that I haven't seen before, because I've only seen him on the WWE roster. So to see like a slightly younger, more clean cut version of Sami Zayn, and the whole time thinking Sami was going to win this match, I just like, I was surprised by the outcome.
So Sami Zayn in NXT was the huge underdog. He was like Daniel Bryan in like 2012 or 2013, whenever that was. He had won the world championship once, but like, you know, he was the underdog who made that climb. He was the fan favorite of NXT, and he'd been making a few appearances on Monday Night Raw or SmackDown, and it was clear that his time in NXT was coming to an end. So the reason for this match was essentially just Sami Zayn came out to the middle of the ring and just said, I'm going, like, you know, I'm moving on, but I need to go out on a high. So I don't care who my opponent is, but they better bring it. And then like William Regal comes out and is like, oh, I've got an opponent for you. He was the general manager of NXT. He was like, you want a good opponent? I've got an opponent for you. And they showed this video clip of this huge star from Japan who at the time Japan was really blowing up for wrestling fans. And like this guy, Shinsuke Nakamura, he's coming over to NXT. And it was like, oh, this is gonna be fucking good.
Yeah, I'm a fan of this guy, and he's actually feuding right now over at WWE with Seth Rollins. Would you
Seth
say
Rollins.
that's what's going on?
Yeah, that's why I wanted to bring this up here because Sami Zayn is still huge, running off his momentum, still going, and Shinsuke Nakamura is going for the World Heavyweight Championship. So let's look at both of them.
We're going to talk a little bit about WWE and its storylines here in another video, but I just kind of want to stay focused on this match for now. And again, the audience for these NXT shows, they do so many different chants. The one that the Fight Forever came up a lot in this match. The Ted Lasso chant, that's all I know it as, but they always do it when Sammy's out there. Is that like a Canadian thing? Ole, ole, ole,
Yeah,
ole.
yeah. I don't know. That started before I started watching NXT. I don't know what the reason for that is. Like, I not a clue. I feel like they did it for uh Becky Lynch a lot too. But yeah, I mean, I love that he still has his chant. I think he still has his music going in WWE right now. But like that passionate crowd singing along to his music, the crowd singing along to Nakamura's great music. I love it.
I like Nakamura's music better than Sami Zayn's, and Zayn's entrance music is like one of my favorites.
Mm-hmm. I have both of Nakamura's music. I have both of Nakamura's entrance songs because he has one that's this one, and then he has one that has lyrics. Which the reason they introduced the one with lyrics is because they were turning him heel, and they were like, the crowd likes singing along to his music too much. Put lyrics.
We gotta make it to where they can't.
Yeah, but it didn't stop them. Like they were still like singing along. But yeah, I have both of his entrance songs on my workout playlist. They are integral.
Is the lyrics in Japanese?
Yes.
Oh, hell yeah, dude. Let's go. So they're just phonetically singing along. Yeah, dude. I was watching some wrestling yesterday. I think I was watching some of Raw from Monday night, just like singing along to Sami Zayn's entrance music when it came on, and was thinking about how, like you used the word integral, how important that the music is to the character. And in my observations, the more over the song is, the more over the wrestler is. And I wonder, is it because the wrestler was over first, or because they just happened to get the catchier song, or did they give the catchier songs to the more charismatic wrestlers?
I think it's that just that the music is, so first of all, the wrestler does have to put in the work, because it doesn't matter how good your song is. If you're boring to watch in the ring, and you're just like not charismatic at all, then no one's going to care whatsoever. But I think the music just is that little extra bridge, and it doesn't even have to be like the whole song, because you don't chant along to Stone Cold Steve Austin's song. Like what you do, you don't sing along or chant to that. But when you hear that glass shatter, like that means something.
Yeah.
So it's a similar thing. Like, like Keith Lee had a great one where at the beginning of Keith Lee's music, he would say like you would hear his voice say like "bask in my glory," and it was like that. Like, you didn't sing along to his music, but when you heard that, you were like, Keith Lee's coming.
Yeah. There's a couple really cool spots in it, but again, without like having it's not like anybody's face is busted open. Nobody's getting thrown on shards of broken glass or anything through this match. But as far as technical wrestling goes, there was a part where Sami does like, I don't know, what is it? Like it's not a frog splash. Maybe it's like a crossbody where he comes off the third rope out out of the ring and hits Nakamura. It's just like such a great execution of that move that I was just like, that was awesome. And then Shinsuke gets Sami in an armbar, but after this really cool fucking like flippy transition thing that makes him end up in the armbar, that I was like, oh, that's super dope. Watching these two guys go at it with each other was very impressive. And this is the kind of wrestling I like, especially when we compare it to things like, and I hate to say it, there was a bit of it in the Edge and Sheamus matches, but I feel like heavyweight WWE wrestlers, like there's a lot of like stalking and
Rest
like
holds.
recovering and
Yeah.
yeah. It feels like more of the match is like posturing and trying to.
There was a while that Randy Orton's nickname for the fans or from the fans was fans would call Randy Orton Rest Hold Randy because so
Explain to
much
me
of his
what a rest
matches
hold is.
just those moments in the ring where they've like got him in like a headlock and they're just like sitting in the middle of the ring and like the wrestler who's like in the headlock has got to like sell it, but maybe they're talking, maybe they're recovering, maybe they're trying to get their breath back. Rest holds.
I see.
And Randy Orton would just do so many of them that the crowd started calling him Rest Hold Randy.
I like that. I don't care so much for those moments of wrestling matches. And a lot of people will say, like, that's where the drama is. That's the bloodline matches aren't always exciting, but like you got to buy into the storyline. And then these 45-minute long, boring ass matches all of a sudden mean something. But like, I don't know, man. I will take these tight 15, 20-minute matches where every single moment has something dynamic in it over that any day. And I was impressed by Sami. I don't think I've ever seen him as being so agile and so like
Yeah,
maneuverable as I did this time.
one of his old matches or his old moves, he doesn't do it anymore. I haven't seen him do it in a long time. Is he will from outside the ring, he will run across and and he'll jump and dive through the corner, and he'll then grab you and do like a tornado DDT. It was one of his signature moves.
He tried to do it this match.
Yeah, so
Shinsuke
you're
caught him.
in, kicked him in the fucking face.
Yeah. That
And
was
like
a great
so,
spot.
yeah, and so seeing that spot, being used to that spot, like for the first time I watched this match back in whatever this was, 2016. Like he jumps and I'm ready to see this cool move, and all of a sudden he gets kicked in the face. I was like, oh my gosh, like
Yeah, he was a beast. That is Shinsuke. I noticed he had some knee pads on, which is probably great for his opponent because he throws so many freaking knees. I'm like, holy shit. That's one of those things like you and I talked about, the wrestler that we watched in NXT last time who does so many kicks. It's like some things are hard to protect yourself against. And I imagine a freaking knee is one of those things that just generally hurts like a bitch.
yeah, no, don't that John Cena got his knee broken by a good Seth Rollins knee.
Ooh, I try not to get too hung up on details like costuming with wrestlers because I think like 9 times out of 10, they're just terrible. But one of the details that I liked about Sami's kind of Celtic design on his pants this time is that little Celtic star, that little symbol was like right over his butthole. It was like a little Celtic butthole on the back of his pants. So I thought that was cool.
I always thought it looked weird because it has like racing flag stripes on it or whatever. And I was like, I wonder if I missed something in early NXT that I didn't see, because I'm like, were you involved with racing or something?
Yeah, it's a really weird mix of like NASCAR and Celtic lore. I don't know what's going on there, but anyways.
And I don't know why it would
Shinsuke's
be
always got some
Celtic
wild
lore.
costumes. It's the butthole because he's like
I got you.
he's not.
He's also just like he's Canadian and Middle Eastern.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting because he reads Irish. That's
Mm-hmm.
why I figured they put the Celtic thing on it. They're like, fuck it, he's got red hair, he's Irish. Let's
Now they get
chant
Becky Lynch
Olay
to fill
at
that
him.
quota.
Yeah.
That could be the case.
If you're just generally like what from like the UK region, you get that chant. I don't know.
Right.
There was a couple cool like drivers. There was one where Sami like caught him and brings him up and goes down on his butt with his legs kind of out like this and just drops Shinsuke right on his freaking head. That was a cool move I've never seen before.
One of my favorite Sami Zayn moves, Blue Thunder Bomb. It makes me happy.
That's the one.
Time.
That's the one. And it brought the audience. That's another one that I wrote down. That's not actually the one I was thinking. I got mixed up. But yes, he does that thunder bomb, and everybody in the crowd just comes up onto
it's a
their
good
feet
looking move,
immediately. It was dope. Yeah, man.
If you add a spin to anything, it looks better.
100% agree with you. 100% agree with you. That was a great moment. And just, I don't know what it is about NXT crowds. I guess this is something that you've mentioned to me before.
With NXT crowds, it's so they weren't in Orlando, but like when you watch like the weekly show, it's like a lot of the same audience because they live around there. So, it's all in Orlando. But then it's the most accessible thing to being a hardcore fan. Because if you just catch the weekly like Monday Night Raw and SmackDown, it's a bit more casual. But then if you just pay for like the network or something, then you get to catch NXT, and you're not only and they have this. It was NXT at the time was called a super indie, so it was like an indie show, but there was something just like a little bit more heightened about it. So it was a super indie. But then like NXT was also built on all these people who had crafted their, honed their craft in Ring of Honor, in Japan, in PWG, in all these places. So you're seeing all these like diverse talent from all these smaller companies who have different move sets, different abilities, and it was it was the closest thing to being a hardcore fan without, diving into Ring of Honor and all that stuff. So I think it was just that much more. It was an accessible hardcore wrestling.